On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks fall to the Denver Nuggets in a game that we can learn a lot from, but it shows just how big the gap is between the two teams. What can we learn from Luka's wild game and more on today's Locked On Mavs?
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Mavericks, NBA champions.
It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen today. Where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section. Why have the Mavs struggled in first quarters? Let's workshop this. Why have they struggled in first quarters? This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code all lowercase LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. And joining me, post-game co-host, Wild Rangers parade going person. What you got for me? Slightly biased.
Well, I thought I was just gonna be a good luck charm, post-game co-host, never lose a game.
We were trending that way.
Fortunately, that's no longer the case. No, I had a great day at the parade. The parade was terrible, and I will not apologize to any Arlington people.
It was not good.
I don't think that a parade should ever be held there again, and I'm just being truthful and honest. It was a fun experience. Shout out to I had some people come up to me and say what's up, so shout out to you guys.
Same.
But, I can't say that the parade itself was very good because it wasn't.
Yeah. I gave out several stickers. One person even came up and said, "Hey, you got any condoms on you?" Because the stickers look like condoms.
It's like, dude, the porta potty lines are already so long.
There was people on top. There was so we're talking about the Texas Rangers. They won the World Series, and so there was the parade for them was today. We were both there, not together, but we were both there.
Impossible to find anyone.
It was impossible because I had no service the whole time. I couldn't get on Twitter. I couldn't tweet anything. I couldn't text anybody. I was like, oh my gosh, if an emergency happens, all of us are going to die because none of us are going to be able to get any. But yeah, the parade was kind of a dud. But the fun part to me was just watching the people try and see it from all over the place. There was like 200 people on a roof, like down the street from where I was. There's people like climbing fences over apartment buildings. There's all kinds of wild stuff happening. People in trees.
Yeah. In case you're wondering, like usually a championship parade, they're on like a bus or like a float so you could see them. They were individually in the back of pickup trucks. So if you were not on the street, you could not see them.
Yeah.
It's just baffling.
That tracks for Texas, though, to just put them in trucks. Let's just put them in trucks.
It tracks for Arlington. Not planned well in a parking lot.
It tracks for Arlington. Corey Seager's line, drop the mic line, though, was amazing.
Yeah, it was. I honestly couldn't hear anything at the stage either, but everyone was just cheering. So I was like, yeah. Then I heard it afterwards. That was a good line.
Go check out Locked On Rangers for more actual Rangers talk, and that's probably where the end of our Rangers talk will happen for the whole rest of the season. So there you go on that. But today we'll get into Luka Doncic had just a weird game that we got to talk about because he was good in some areas that we're not used to and bad in some areas we're not used to either. And so we've got to talk about him. We'll talk about Dereck Lively's game. Thought that he had an interesting game, not that great, but an interesting one. And we'll get into all that, but I want to start here, and I think we have to start here. The Mavericks lost this first quarter, 40-24. They won the rest of the game. Like, they played them even the rest of the game. I think one of the main problems was, and this didn't even pop up in the first quarter that much, but in the rest of the game, one of their main problems was offensive rebounding.
Yeah. And
just rebounding in general. The Nuggets took 93 shots. They made 49 of them. They got 19 offensive rebounds. That means there's only like 20. The Mavs only got 24 defensive rebounds in this game, which is just not enough. And this is one of the things that we talked about with the Mavericks defense. And the team talked about with the Mavericks defense. They have to finish plays, and they just didn't finish enough plays because Denver can play so big all the time with those huge wings and Porter Jr. and Gordon, and then obviously Jokic. I don't know that Lively got one single rebound where Jokic was anywhere near him because he just gobbles up. Like he just has such good hands.
Yeah, I mean, this will be every Mavericks Nuggets game. It'd be shocking if the Mavericks out-rebounded the Nuggets because they just don't have the personnel. But, I mean, some of these rebounds, I don't know how many. I wanted to go back and check, but I don't know how many it felt like the Mavericks had and either had both hands on it and it got tipped away from somebody, or they only went up with one hand. Tim Hardaway did it once and Dwight Powell did it once, where they just go up with one hand And it's like, just go up with both hands and catch it. It's the most infuriating thing sometimes. They got to go up stronger on some of those rebounds. And the offensive rebounds that they give up all of the time, where a guy like Christian Braun, how many offensive rebounds did Christian Braun have? Only 2. It felt like 200. But where like the shots missed and Christian Braun's just on the wing, dives in on, nobody puts a body on him whatsoever. And
it's the one that Josh Green gets for the Mavs. Like Josh Green will get those rebounds, but instead the Mavs always give those up. And Josh Green's like, oh man, he got inspired by the other team. Okay.
Yeah. And it's like a game like this against the Nuggets, those are the plays you can't have. Like you're going to get, Jokic is going to get those rebounds where there's just nothing you can do. You can't give up those offensive rebounds. And Michael Porter Jr. too. He's a tremendous rebounder.
Yeah, like Matt Moore, HP Basketball on Twitter, who many Mavs fans will know as a Mavs hater, but is my friend, and I've done shows with on Locked On. He even pointed out, like, they got 19 offensive rebounds, but they only scored 20 second chance points. So really, that's not a bad ratio right there for the Mavericks. But my problem was going to be, they are going to get offensive rebounds when it mattered, and that is what happened. It came down to it, and they got some really clutch offensive rebounds in the end, and then at the end of the game, Gordon had one, Porter Jr. had a putback. Like, they just had these where the Mavericks needed to get a stop, and they just couldn't get it because they kept giving up another offensive rebound. So it didn't matter that it was only 20 points, but because of those last 4 points that they scored at the end, they sealed it and put it away. Yeah,
and I mean, a lot of people will count defensive rebounding as part of playing defense because you have to close out the possessions. And, I thought defensively, 125 points is a lot. I don't think they played terribly tonight. The Nuggets just couldn't, they were red hot from 3. This is an incredibly good team. Jokic is just otherworldly how good he is. And Aaron Gordon's tremendous. I mean, this is just a tremendous team. I thought they played pretty well defensively, the Mavericks did. But again, it's just, you got to finish these, it's playing great individual defense and doing good getting over screens and making tough contested shots. That's cool. But if you're not grabbing the rebounds, it genuinely does not matter whatsoever. And so
the Nuggets shot 22 of 28 at the rim, which is not good. It's 79% almost.
How many of those, though, were the little Jokic floaters that are unstoppable?
Well, what he hit, it was 14 of 16. He hit 2 threes. So yeah, 12. Let's say 12 of those were the right inside the lane. Like, got a mismatch, which was everybody against Jokic at that point. Or Lively just playing him straight up and trying not to foul, and just Jokic just bodying him and getting a shot over him. But yeah, the Mavericks defense, I thought, played as decently well as you could have hoped in this game. But the Nuggets offense was just so good and too good. And this is why I said at the beginning, you see the difference between these two teams. You see the difference between the chemistry, the cohesion. This Nuggets team has been together for a while. Jokic and Murray have been together for a while. Like, Jokic and Murray is what we hoped that Luka and Porzingis would turn into, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if Luka and Porzingis were still together and they had their chemistry was actually good and got better each year and all that. And then imagine if they could build on that each year. And instead, the Mavericks have had to reset now like 3 times in the Luka era and try different things. And so they haven't been able to get that cohesion together. And Kyrie was back in this game, which was good, but they haven't played. Luka and Kyrie still haven't played. Like, how many consecutive? I think they played 4 consecutive games twice last year.
Yeah.
And they still haven't done it this year yet, preseason or regular season yet.
And it's still a little bit rocky. You can tell there's moments, but there's also the Kyrie stuff's just so weird to me. The first half of the game, it's like, okay, Luka's out, Kyrie's in, it's Kyrie time. No, it's Tim Hardaway Jr. time, and he's like running the offense.
There were moments in that quarter. I wrote it down. Where there was moments in that quarter where Kyrie wouldn't touch the ball, and it's like it's Hardy time, it's Hardaway time, and you're like, he can't just be a screener. Like, you can't just have Kyrie be a screener out there. As much as he wants to be I'm going to set everybody up, I'm going to do the dirty work. He joked with us at media day. He said, I want to be a 4. I can get blocks and rebounds. And he did have one really good block in this game. He ended up with
4 steals and 2 blocks.
Yeah, he ended up with 2 blocks, and he got 1 rebound. But he's got to take over on offense a little bit more. He took 15 shots. It's just not enough for this team.
No,
they need to take some of the Tim shot. Tim only took 8 shots. It felt like he took way more than that. But then you take some
all in the first half, though.
Yeah, you need to take some of those shots and turn them into Kyrie shots, because their offense has to be that good. Like, it has to be that efficient. It has to be. They finished the game with a 117.7 offensive rating, which would have been like 5th in the league last year for a season. it's just not enough. The Nuggets at 127 because you just got to outscore everybody. So the offensive rebounds were bad. The defense was definitely not good enough. And, that all kind of goes together. And so coming up, let's talk about Luka's side of it, because I thought Luka was it was just weird to see Luka play the way that he did. It was one of the most bizarre Luka games ever. Yes. And so let's talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. You can go and check out PrizePicks right now. Go to their website and you can pick 2 or more projections and pick the more or less on what you think they're going to get. You can combine leagues as well. You can do all kinds of stuff because there are specials where you can pick a combo of, like passing yards from Patrick Mahomes. You can pick points for Luka Doncic. You can combine those and do all kinds of stuff like that. It's pretty fun with PrizePicks. If you have like a day where there's NFL games and NBA on at the same time, and you like to have the multiple screens and watch a bunch of different stuff, it can be really, really fun. So, for example, Mavericks fan Patrick Mahomes, 285.5 passing yards against the Dolphins. Give me more on that. He's going to have to score more points to get to pass them. And I'll pick Tua as well. Tua Tagovailoa, 274.5 passing yards. Give me less on that. If I put just those two down, put down $20, I can win 60. That's a pretty fun day. If you want to do that, put down 50. I can win 150, and that's on the power play. Check all that kind of stuff out at prizepicks.com and use the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's all one word, lowercase, LOCKEDONNBA. Prizepicks.com/LOCKEDONNBA to get a first deposit match up to $100.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is?
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. Appreciate everybody that came up to me at the parade today and said Raccoon Squad, or said that they listened to the show. Appreciate that. It was good. Yeah. All right, slightly, let's get into this game. Luka Doncic played just one of the weirdest games I've ever seen him play, in which you tweeted this during the game, in which he was very bad, like offensive approach wise. It just felt like he was trying to attack the Porter Jr. switch over and over again, was trying to get the same thing, which I guess we're used to in that sense. But he had 9 turnovers to 8 assists. Not used to that at all. We're used to Luka's assist to turnover ratio being very good. He hit a bunch of threes, which is good. So it made his numbers look a lot better. But he wasn't there. But then he was really good defensively. Like when he was on the defensive end of the court, his transition defense was not great. He was complaining a lot in this game. He didn't get the foul calls he wanted and all that. We had that problem again creep up in this game. But when he was on defense and when he was locked in defensively, like when he was on that end of the court, he was very good.
Yeah. I tweeted out this was like Bizarro a Luka game because he was frustrated with the refs and stuff, but it was like it felt so weird. Like he was checked out in the first half. The second half was a different story. He was much better, much more aggressive. Yeah. Because I think 6 of those turnovers were in the first half, so 3 the rest of the game. Which with the ball in his hands that much, that's going to happen. But it was like bad shots. This thing that he does offensively that can be really frustrating sometimes when he's not getting calls, and it's like he's trying to prove a point almost to the refs by going for the same calls over and over again. And it's that call that play he likes to do where he's going like towards the elbow and he tries to get the little reach on when he goes up. And, when they're not calling it, those are really tough shots. He can hit them, but they're just really tough shots that you could get a better look. And if you're Luka Doncic, you're one of the best, shot creators in the entire league. So you can get better looks in that easily. So it was just frustrating on that. Like just a lot of dumb turnovers too. Like he tried to nutmeg Jokic once, and it's like, man, just throw the pass normally, please. Like it would have been cool if it went through, but
he did have a behind the back bounce pass to Grant Williams in the corner. Luka was in the paint. He had dribbled into like almost a post and then was facing the basket, behind the back bounce pass out to the corner. Like no one ever does that. The behind the back bounce pass kick out to 3.
I thought it got poked away. I didn't realize I just didn't seem like a pass that was possible. I thought like someone poked it away from behind.
That was on purpose. Like, yes,
yeah.
Yes, it was. But yeah, all the Luka whining to the refs problems came back up again. Like it reared its ugly head, came back in full force, and the transition defense wasn't good enough. 21 fast break points for the Nuggets, and then 9 for the Mavericks. Like you combine that with the second chance points, so 20 second chance points, like we said earlier, for the Nuggets, 8 for the Mavs, and then fast break points, 21 for the Nuggets, 9 for the Mavericks. Like that's the game right there. Like that's your margin of error. You just cannot lose those so deeply, and it was because of Luka and because of their rebounding.
Yeah, like especially you're at a talent deficit here. the Nuggets are just a better team than you, full stop, on the road, a very tough place to play. You can't be losing those numbers. You just can't. Those are like hustle plays and getting back on defense. It was really frustrating because it was like off of makes they were getting, transition lobs 2-on-1. Like, how is that even possible? It's just stuff that has to get better.
It has to get better, and I'm going to blame Sean Sweeney for it because he was the one coaching. Jason Kidd wasn't there. I already had somebody tweet at me today and was like, "This proves Sean Sweeney is not a head coach." And you're like, "Wow,
yeah. Thank God that's not his role." Like, there are people in my chat during the stream. I was just seeing how many people were coming in and be like, "Kid is terrible. This is a terrible kid night." And I'm like, "Oh, interesting."
Because they didn't. Yeah, Jason Kidd was out for this game because of a non-COVID illness. Hopefully he's doing all right. Maybe he just didn't want to make the flight. Maybe he called in sick like all the rest of us did
at the parade
in DFW and went to the parade.
I thought I saw a shiny bald head in there somewhere.
He's definitely wearing his like flat bill, like what is it? The powder blue like Rangers hat that
New
he
era,
always wears.
The most disgusting hat you'll ever see.
He was definitely there wearing that hat. But yeah, Kidd was out in this game. Maxi Kleba also out in this game, and I think that absence was really big. He dislocated a pinky toe, which, I mean, if you've ever done that, I think, tell me how painful that is, because I have no idea. But
I have broken my pinky toe, and it's, from what I was told, the worst toe to have hurt, actually.
Really? Yeah, more than like your big toe? Because your big toe you use for balance. Like, you can't cut that off or else you won't be able to walk.
You use for balance. That's what people told me, at least. That it didn't make sense to me, but people are like, your pinky toe is like your most important toe.
Interesting. I guess it makes sense that it would be the end toes, not the middle toes that would be the most important. So like, all right, we're deciding between the two.
I'm not a doctor.
But you can't drive if you don't have your big toe, because what's the Patrick Star? Big toe. That's how you have to drive. But without Maxi, they couldn't go two bigs. Yeah. They couldn't go two bigs at all because you don't have another shooter. Like, you can go Lively and Grant. That's as two bigs as you're gonna get. They played Dwight for 16 minutes in this game, basically when Lively was out. And then we saw for the first time the real small ball with Grant Williams at the 5. Mm-hmm. And it started in the beginning of the fourth quarter. Sweeney decided to throw it out there. It was Luka, Kyrie, Hardy, Josh Green, and Grant Williams going small. What did you think about the small ball lineup?
I thought it was pretty interesting, and I kind of liked it because I guess the thought is, well, you can't stop Jokic anyways. We're getting killed on the glass anyways. Let's try to switch something up here. Maybe we just outgun them or just switch it up on defense and it works. That's a lineup you're going to really have to circle, because that will be one that, as the season goes on, I'm sure is going to get busted out in big moments.
In that lineup, though, I was surprised they went away from Derrick Jones Jr. He played not that much in the second half. He played 4 minutes in the second half. I'm just surprised they went away from him completely, just because they needed a little size. Like, he's bigger than Hardy, and I thought that's where they would go. Instead, they went Luka, Kyrie, Hardy, like extra ball handling, scoring in that lineup instead of just a little extra size in there. And that's what I was surprised by, because these small ball lineups, like even when the Warriors play them and whoever, you have to have size at the other positions or else it's just not going to work for you. You've got to have an Andrew Wiggins. You've got to have, your Draymond Green out there. Like, you got to have a couple extra positions. Klay Thompson, 6'7". Like, you got to have a couple other positions with size. And so in this one, they had Luka at 6'8", Grant at like 6'6", 6'7", maybe like pushing it. And then you had Green at 6'5". Like, I don't think it just wasn't enough size, even against the Nuggets' second unit, which this was. And I found it interesting. So the Mavs started that fourth quarter small, and then Hardy hit a 3 to make it a 9-point game with like 2 minutes into the quarter. And then Mike Malone calls a timeout and he puts Aaron Gordon in. And I was like, oh no, they're screwed, because he was just the center and he was just bigger than everybody else in there. They got a couple offensive rebounds, and then, it went back up to like a 14-point game, like a minute later.
Yeah. 9 was the closest it got. And yeah, Aaron Gordon was feasting tonight. It, like, just in the dunker spot, it felt like the entire game, and Jokic found him every single time.
Every time.
I mean, great cutting too. He had an insane layup where he like went between the legs midair or something, revert. It was the most insane thing I've ever seen.
I thought Stuff was going to come out. I thought the Magic mascot Stuff was going to come out to try and like stop him. He would just like finish around that guy.
But no, he's a really good piece for them. And the Mavericks really, I mean, I would say the Mavericks need a guy like their Aaron Gordon. I'm interested the guy who just kind of does everything, connective on offense, small ball guy. Hopefully that could be like a Grant Williams, but I don't know if there's another Aaron Gordon in the league, because I've heard people say the Mavericks need Aaron Gordon, is why I bring that up. And I just don't know if there's another guy like that.
Yeah, to me, the Aaron Gordon trade for the Mavericks is not as much function as it is talent level. Like they just need that third guy now because we've been talking. For years we were like, get the second guy, and we thought maybe it was Porzingis, and then it wasn't. And then like get the second guy, get your number 2 option, and now it's get the third guy because now if you look at the Mavs' third best player compared to everybody else's third best player, they're really behind in that instance.
And this just kind of goes to show that your third best player doesn't have to be, because I think Aaron Gordon is their third best player. Like, I think he's a better player than Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. is really good and had a good game tonight, but Aaron Gordon just does more. It just goes to show your third best player doesn't have to be an offensive, maestro, like some people might think.
No, and the Mavs need that guy. They need him to not be an offensive maestro. They need that player to be an elite defensive player, and they just haven't found that yet. We think Grant Williams is going to fill some of that role, but if he's that guy, then you're not winning the title. And we already knew that. Like you go into the season, and I don't think this Mavericks team's winning the title. You look at them against this Nuggets team, and as of right now, unless they change a lot of stuff and get a lot better together, the Mavs aren't going to win the title like this because they got to go through Denver, and it doesn't seem like it's going to go well.
Yeah.
And so that's where we are with it. Can we talk about how Kyrie has hit like 2 threes this year, and they're only in the clutch? Like he hit a 3. He hit a 3 to cut it to 8, which you said the 9 was the closest. It actually got to 8 with 3.5 minutes left. He hit that 3. He hit another.
That was a great Luka pass too, by the way.
A couple games ago. Kai can only hit threes when it's clutch time because he went 1 of 5 in this game again.
Yeah, I mean that's something to, I guess, look forward to as a Mavs fan, where the offense has been good numbers wise. Kyrie's not shooting 12% from 3. Like that number's going up. And I thought the back half of this game he played much better and was much more aggressive and had some legitimately good moments. So it's just going to take a little bit for Kyrie. I think he's just playing himself into shape, which he said himself.
Yeah, and then he had the foot issue for the last couple of games, which he missed, and so that's kind of concerning. If you have a foot problem and you're not shooting well from 3, Dana talked about this yesterday on the show, which, by the way, you can listen to. It's up on the podcast. I put it up late, sorry, but it's up now, so you can go listen to that. It's evergreen, so you can listen to it today. But Dana said, like, you've got to connect the foot stuff with the 3-point stuff, right? Like, there's no way that's not connected so far.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Dereck Lively, because I sent to the subtext users, if you want to subscribe to the subtext, click the link in the description, text the number, and I'll send you thoughts during the game. I'll send them after the game. I'll watch film and do all that kind of stuff. So subscribe to that. But I thought Dereck Lively played to stay in the game, like to not foul out, than to actually affect the game, because I don't think he affected the game too much in this one.
No, and I saw it coming, and I've already seen some very annoying takes. He's been very good. Jokic is very good, and it's a very tough matchup. And I thought, like we were talking about this before we went live, that they had him on Aaron Gordon for a large portion of the time, and it was like you said, it was really weird. Like he was trying to not foul, knowing how crafty Jokic is, and if you're going to do this, Jokic is going to figure out how to draw a foul or get contact. And it was a very timid approach from the rookie.
Which you're going to expect, and I'm not going to come in and freak out about it or say he's got to be better. Like, I'm not even going to do that. I'm not even going to come in and like say he's got to be better. You know who will do that? His mom. His mom will do that.
Yes.
His mom
he will do it himself too, by the way. He seems like he's a very smart kid, it seems like. I feel so old that I can call like rookies kids and it makes sense.
Washed.
Because when you're like 23 calling people kids, it's like, okay, because Luka did that. Didn't Luka call Lively a kid or something?
No, Grant did, and Grant's 24.
Oh, yeah, that's hilarious. But I can't say the same. But no, I thought, are we going to talk about the 3 that he shot?
This is where we have to talk about it. I mean,
that was just a shocking moment in the game. Because it's not like that was, if that's in the final closing minutes and you're down, 16, and we just want to kind of try something.
Or a broken possession or something like that.
That was like a kind of key moment in the game. ATO, Dereck Lively corner 3 that didn't have a prayer.
If you want to know how bad that play looked, so it was an out of time, ATO out of timeout. So out of time, like Mavs called timeout. They go in and Dereck Lively gets a corner 3. The same 3, you pointed this out to me, the same 3 that Dwight Powell got. So it must have been out of a timeout. So it must have been a play that drew up. There's 6:50 left in the game. Mavs were only down by like 10 at that point.
Yeah.
And so that 3 would have been huge, but it was also one of those where like, all right, you don't need to be that desperate at this point. If you want to know how bad that play was, listen to the call afterwards. And Derek Harper, like consummate company man, always encouraging, says good things, was like, you got to get something better coming out of a timeout. Like that was out of a timeout. And then follow would try to move on. And then Derek Harper would be like, out of a timeout. You've got to get something better. Like they called that out of a timeout, and it's as close to that was a garbage trash call as Derek Harper's ever gonna get.
He was bewildered.
There's some Derek on Derek crime on that call right there. after that play.
I mean, it wasn't even close. Like I just felt bad for him. It was one of those two. He shoots the ball, and you just hear everyone on the bench, "Hell no!" I'm like, "Oh God."
Yeah, it's the same looking shot that he took in summer league too. So his 3-point shot to me is always going to take a couple years.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he's got to catch up to the speed of the game, and it's not just going to be the speed of the game defensively, but offensively too. And so yeah, we're with that on him. Who else? Oh man, this game just proved the difference between the Nuggets and the Mavs. Like they're just a much better team. Their starting five is just insane. They've got so much cohesion and chemistry, and that's one of the reasons why they won the title last year. So of course they're going to look really good against the Mavs. And their bench was basically all negative. Peyton Watson was a -14, Zeke Naji -4, Christian Brown -5. Like that was almost their whole bench. And then their starters were all like almost all double-digit positives because that's how it went. The Mavericks outscored them when Jokic was off the court, and then when Jokic came on the court with the starters, they destroyed the Mavs, and that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, outside the first quarter, you got to give the Mavericks credit. They did what you're supposed to do to beat the Nuggets, which is you win the non-Jokic minutes, and you win them somewhat convincingly. You know, what was it, an 11-point win for the Nuggets? Jokic was a plus 17. I mean, there was some garbage time stuff there at the end that kind of skews those numbers, but yeah, they did a good job. I mean, I really like Peyton Watson, by the way. If we're just going to talk about the Nuggets, I think he's a really good player, but
jammed that one dunk home. Oh my gosh.
I kind of thought he might have got away with the travel, but that was a monster dunk.
And then the goal,
nice blocks.
The goaltending block, what was it on Kyrie on the other end?
Yeah.
I thought he got there almost. Oh man,
he's a freak athlete.
Yeah,
but
they've been talking on Locked On Nuggets. They've been talking about him a lot. Did you like the court? We just now watched a full game on the in-season tournament court. By the way, this is an in-season tournament game, and so the margin of victory, which Follow mentioned several times on Bally's, the margin of victory matters now for tiebreakers. But the Mavs already lost this one and lost it by double digits, so their in-season tournament
it's tough.
luck is not looking very good at this point already after one game. But what do you think about the court?
The Nuggets court's terrible, and their jerseys are terrible. The jerseys are absolutely horrible. I don't know what's going on. You can't even see like the mountains because the blue, the shade of blue they have just blends in with the jersey so much you can barely even notice it on the broadcast. But so I will say the Nuggets court's terrible. I watched other games like the Thunder. They have a blue court too, but it works better. The colors accent each other much better, and I liked it. And I like the red. Maybe I'm just a sucker for this. The red courts like the Bulls had.
The Bulls one, my eyes were burning in my head when I flipped over that one.
I loved it. I'm sold.
The red court, really?
Yeah, I did not think I was gonna like it, but it did something for me.
These courts were a publicity stunt to me.
Yeah, I think it's just trying to get people to tune into the in-season tournament.
Not even just to because they're gonna publicly say this was just to make it seem like they're different. So that the audience knows I think they made them so different. Because you watch them and you're like, this is not an NBA game that I'm watching, right? Because it just doesn't look like it looks like I'm watching a FIBA game or I'm watching like some and one mixtape, like I'm watching one of those types of game or a pro-am game somewhere. I'm watching a Boise State football game. Like I'm watching something. I'm watching something else. But I'm interested to see I'm glad the Mavs went with gray now. I usually don't like a gray court, but I'd rather have that than the red or the blue that we just had to watch. Or man, Haralabob even tweeted. Haralabob, who used to be the Mavs director of analytics, tweeted, "I wonder if this is going to affect efficiency from teams shooting because of how glaring these courts are."
Someone on the Thunder broadcast, I think it was the Warriors broadcast team, said the same thing. They're like, "I think the blue backdrop is going to make them shoot better." And I was like,
you think better?
That's what they were saying. I mean, that game ended up being 141. Just so if you didn't watch around the league for the opening night of the in-season tournament, this Mavs game was the second worst game.
I was gonna say the worst game. There were so many good games.
They were all incredible. So
the Grizzlies just went 0-6 against the Blazers. That one went into overtime too. Yeah, there was a lot of good games on the night.
That's a toughie for them.
Tough one. So at least you have that if you're a Mavs fan and you hate the Grizzlies. Then
and the Thunder lost again. Like there's the teams that you expect to be around. Or, there's some favorable results there, but if you're standings watching this early, I wouldn't recommend it because so much.
so early, but
yeah,
there you go. Let us know in the comment section why you think the Mavericks keep losing in the first quarter and all that kind of stuff. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.